Hi all, welcome to the Business Analyst Training Program. In our previous session, we have seen details pertaining to an overview of what business analysis process is all about. What do you mean by a business analyst role in a software company, in an IT company, and in domain-specific companies? Also, we have seen details pertaining to what is a career path for a business analyst. If you start as a business analyst, what are the various stages that you can reach after 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and how you can plan your career after practicing business analysis process for a set period of time. In today's session, we will see details pertaining to what is a project, what do you mean by software and a hardware, what is a project in terms of building a software or developing a software, and what do you mean by a domain specific project? So as a business analyst, which type of a project will you participate in? And later on, we will move to the software development life cycle. In today's session, I will show you an example of C and Java programming for a simple calculator application so that you get an idea of what is a software and how is it actually developed in a software company. Okay, so do you have any questions pertaining to the topics which we have handled in the previous session? Or do you need any clarifications prior to we move on to the next set of topics today? Any one of you? Okay, good. Let's continue with what is a project? So can any one of you attempt or tell me what is a project in your own words? You might have worked for a non-IT company or an IT company. So somewhere you should have heard this term project. So how do you define a project? You can tell it in your own words. Would you like to give it a try, any one of you?
This is Dylan here. So I think a project is just whatever the client wants. It could be like software or it could be something else.
Perfect, yes, that is a correct definition. So what is a project all about? A project can be a software, it can be finance related product, or it can be healthcare related product, or insurance related product, or digital market related, HR related, whatever it is. A task or an endeavor that is given to you to accomplish or achieve something is referred to as a project. A project can be of small size, it can be of a medium size, or it can be of a bigger size. A project can last, say, for weeks, months, or years together. And that depends on the type of project you get to work on, the type of industry that you're working on. If it is a BPO kind of industry, where it is operation specific. So an operation specific environment, once a project is started, that will get continued for years together. There wouldn't be an end to it. So those are referred to as domain specific projects. Whereas in a software company, once you start a project, it's nothing but developing a software. So you get the requirements, you analyze the requirements, you come up with a design for those requirements, and then you give it to the technical team or the development team. Which is the development team? The team that has developers or software engineers who are good at programming. So what do you mean by a program, or what do you mean by code? What do you mean by software? We will see in the forthcoming slides. But to define a project, irrespective of a software industry or be it a domain specific industry, operations based industry, manufacturing industry, or any type of industry, a project is an endeavor or a task undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. So the end result of a project is completion, successful completion of the task, and to provide the product or a service or the expected result to the end user. So a project can create a product that can be either a component of another item or an end item itself. Right? A project need not be for the complete component or a complete task. It can also be a part of the task. It can be a component of a software. It can be a part of the, when you say component of a software, it can be a part of the software that supports the main software. A capability to perform a service. If it is a service-based industry, then a project is nothing but the capability to perform a service or a business function that supports the production and distribution. A result such as an outcome or document. So in scientific projects or research-based projects, in some of the companies you have R&D departments, mainly in pharmaceutical industries and healthcare industries, cosmetic industries, and in biometric device industry, you have R&D department. So what is this R&D department going to do? They are meant to find something new, research and development. So those kind of research projects or scientific projects are also referred to as projects, but the outcome of that can be a software or it may not be a software. So the PMP certification or the project management certification that is offered by Project Management Institute is not completely specific to the software industry. Right? So once you are trained in project management, you can also take up any service related or operations related project activities. That's why people, those who have, professionals, those who have completed their PMP certification, project management professional certification, are eligible to take up a project management activity. If it is computer related industry, so what can it be? Either it has to be an IT industry or it has to be a BPO, call center or service based industries. Or if it is completely non-computer related, then it can be a manufacturing unit or it can be an instrumentation or mechanical automobile related industry. Everywhere project is a must. Project will exist and project management is a must. Project management and Six Sigma kind of quality initiative and project management activities are common across industry. It is not just specific to IT or non-IT. So what are the various phases within project management? You have planning, organizing, staffing, leading and controlling. We will see these terms and what are these stages in detail when we talk more about the project management activities towards the end of the training program, because our main area of focus in this training program is about the business analysis process. So project management could be an extension to business analysis process or a business analyst role. Project team roles. So most of the time as a business analyst, you will have to work with the project team. So in this program, we are targeting at software related business analysis role, business analyst role or business analysis process profile. So when you have to meet a project team, which are the roles that you can find within the project team with whom you have to interact or work with on a day-to-day basis, because a business analyst must and should closely work with a project team. Right? Project lifecycle and organization. Who are the project stakeholders? Means who are taking the responsibility for that entire project. Operations management will be involved. Functional managers will be there. Vendors or business partners will be there. Customers or users. Project management team. The project team consists of project management team, project manager and other project team members or project coordinators. Project management office, PMO. PMO controls several projects within an organization. That is the main role of a PMO. So after 10 years of experience, say if you decide to become a project manager, You will be under the control of a project management office. They will call it as PMO. Any approval for the actions to be taken by a project manager is governed and controlled by the PMO. PMO will have about 15 to 20 years of overall work experience and a strong project management experience. They will be controlling all the projects in the organization and several project managers who are working on different types of projects in the organization. Other than that, you have a program manager who will be taking care of the entire program activities or what is happening to the product development. And they will be technically trained, but they are a part of the project management group. Other stakeholders, be it internal to your organization or external to your organization, will be there. Portfolio manager, one who manages the portfolio of your company as well as the portfolio of the client. When you say portfolio, what does it mean? What your company is all about, or portfolio of your client, what that client company is all about. So they are completely responsible for managing the portfolio. So these are the different roles that you can find within the project team. As a business analyst, you will be closely working with stakeholders. So who are stakeholders? Stakeholders are of two types. One is an internal stakeholder and another is an external stakeholder. Who's an internal stakeholder? External stakeholder I've already discussed with you in the previous session, but I will compare it with an internal stakeholder in today's session. So, in some of the software companies, you will also find operations group or different business units. So, in an organization, you will have various business units. So, what do you mean by a business unit? Finance is a business unit. HR is a business unit. Operations team is a business unit. Quality department is a business unit. Assets and infrastructure maintaining team is also a business unit. HR is a business unit, most important. Who's going to hire candidates or employees for the company? It's the HR department, right? So there are so many business units in an organization. Each of these business units can have a requirement for a software in a company. So what will happen? There is a software business unit in your company. So the HR department need not approach another company or a third party company to develop a software for them. What they will do, they will create a request internally and they will give it to the development team saying that we have a requirement for development of a HR management system or a sales system, marketing system, or say within operations division. For example, let us take the capital markets. In capital markets, you have equities, fixed income, derivatives. There are so many financial products within the capital markets. So what will happen? Equity team says, we want all the records or all the instruments that have traded today from the exchange directly to be shown on an application so that we can download in an Excel file and we can analyze which share or which stock has performed well. We cannot do this manually. So what happens? That is an internal request. The equity team has a requirement for a software development. HR team has a requirement for a software development. So what happens? The HR team or the equity team or the sales team becomes the internal stakeholder. They are the owners or they are the stakeholders, customers, one who's giving the project to the software business unit. They're going to pay the software business unit, development business unit, but they're internal to the company. So there is a kind of, to some extent, there will be an understanding because the stakeholder or the business unit, one who's giving the project, is also from the same organization, and the development team is also from the same organization. So there will be some understanding or there will be some amount of dependency and independent understanding and activities between these two business units. What happens with external stakeholder? They are no way related to any other business units of your company. They only want a software to be developed from your organization. That is the only expectation. Whether you contact your HR department, finance department, it's not their problem. All they want is a software to be developed, and they very well know that your organization has that ability, or technology wise your organization is really skilled in developing that product or a software or an application which can help them. So it can be for equity, it can be for HR, it can be for sales, but it is for a different company. So that's why we call them an external stakeholder. Correct? So stakeholders are of two types: internal stakeholder and external stakeholder. Be it internal or external stakeholder, you have to interact with them as a business analyst on a day-to-day basis. If it is an internal stakeholder, you will be directly interacting with the business unit. You will go to your another campus or within the same building. They could be in a different floor. You will go, you will sit with them, get the requirements, and you will start the development. And if there's any discrepancy in the understanding, it is very easy. You just move on to that floor. You directly speak to them face to face, ask them. So you have that amount of freedom there if they're internal stakeholders. But if they are external stakeholders, what would happen? The time that they give you will be very limited, and there will be a project manager in the external stakeholders company, and there's a project manager in your own organization. So in the stakeholders company, whatever is the information that you're getting from them and what you are developing will be checked and will be followed, or it will be tracked by the project manager or the account manager in the stakeholder company. So at times they are also called as account managers. Same thing in your company, they can either be called as a project manager or an account manager. They will be responsible for that complete account for the client. So one client can have one project or n number of projects. So if there are more number of projects, there will be different project managers handling each of the project. Account manager will be handling the client A as one of the account. Okay. So that's all about the project team and the project team's roles. As a business analyst, you will be closely working with the project manager within your organization, and you will also get to work with the project manager or account manager in the stakeholders organization. Mostly, if you have a different set of project manager and account manager, then it should be an external stakeholder, because for internal stakeholder there will only be a point of contact, or you will be directly interacting with the manager of the department, right? So even before we move on to the software development life cycle, what is this project all about in a software company? Why is it called a project? We are not building any machineries here. We're not building any tools, right? Are we building any vehicles? No. Then why is it called a project? So as I told you, developing a software is also a task, or it is an endeavor. The end result is a product. It is not a physical product. It is not a machinery, or it is not an automobile component or a device which you can see or which you can lift. But this is something to do with a product that is getting developed and that is going to be installed in a computer. So what type of computer exists? You have a standalone computer. Means it can be a simple laptop that you use. Laptop can be of Windows operating system, or it can be of Mac operating system or Linux operating system, Ubuntu. There are so many operating systems available. Or it can be a desktop. So these are all standalone systems. Because why is it called standalone? Because your laptop is just one laptop, and in that you have different softwares that gets installed. So within a software company, project means to plan, to do, to check, and to act. So what is plan? It can either be a business analysis or enterprise level analysis. So what is enterprise analysis? What is business architecture? We will see in the later slides. Do means business analysis planning. Elicitation. Remember the term elicitation. We will see all of these terms in detail But elicitation means gathering. Information that you get is very, very important. Without information gathering, without proper information is nothing but requirements. So for a business analyst life, most of the portion of a business analyst activity will involve in interacting with the stakeholder, interacting with the stakeholders' point of contact and getting the correct requirements. Because you cannot expect each and every developer in the development team or the technical team to go and contact the stakeholder department, the HR department in the stakeholder organization to get the requirements. If that is the case, then why there is a role called business analyst in that company? So as a business analyst, you must know what is the expectation of your client and what is the need of your technical team. As a developer, what is the information that they will need to develop a calculator? So what is the first and most important term there? What is the functionality of the product? That is the first and most important thing that will strike your mind. Correct. As soon as we say you want to develop a product, so what is that product all about? It's a calculator, okay? So what is that calculator going to do? Or it is an equity product. Okay, what is this product going to do? Is that an intraday product to get the live stock price, or is that a exchange closure price? What price is that? What information is that going to carry? All that depends on the requirements. So requirements comprises of various understanding of what product the company has to develop. Then after getting the requirement, you have to do a requirement analysis. There are various methods in which you can get requirements, various methods in which you can do requirements analysis, which we will see in a proper sequence or hierarchical order in a later stage. Next, solution assessment and validation. You have obtained all the details and you have analyzed the details. Next, assess the solution. What is a kind of a solution that you can give to the product that they have asked for? What is your customer asking for? What is the kind of a product that the customer has asked for? So find out if you can give a proper solution using the requirements that you have gathered and analyzed, and then let the client know this is how we will be implementing the product. This is a technology we will use, and these are the various requirements that we have documented and the design we have created for the product that you have requested for. A customer has orally or verbally asked for a product, but giving a life to it, giving a view, giving a display of presentation of what it is all about, that has to be done by a business analyst. So once that is done, the developer or the technical team takes care of building the product completely. So the activities of planning what has to be done, getting the needs for what has to be done, and then assessing the requirements gathered and finalizing of how the product will look and function. Finally, creating the product, testing and deploying. This entire set of activities are referred to as the project life cycle. So if you say it is a project life cycle, only a project manager should be involved. Why is a business analyst needed? I have given you an explanation for this in the previous session. As a business analyst, you will be involved in technical information pertaining to the system needs, finalizing the system solution or the product solution, and taking it, creating a design of it and taking it to the development team to create the actual product. But overall, this is a project because this is an endeavor or a task. So as a project manager, you will be looking through, is the plan phase going correctly? Good. Requirement gathering is done correctly? Good. So what is happening in the checking phase? Is the solution derived correctly within the set time? Yes. But what goes into the solution? What goes into the system architecture? What goes into the solution architecture? What goes into the wireframes? What goes into each of the drawings and models? It's all up to the business analyst. So that is the difference between a BA's role and a project manager's role. But this entire set of activity in completing the product development is referred to as a project. But technically speaking, each and every phase of building a product is software development lifecycle. If a project manager knows about project management lifecycle, then a business analyst should be thorough with software development lifecycle. So as a part of this training program, business analysis training program, what should you be thorough with? You should be thorough with software development lifecycle, because the overall schedule management and overall look through of the project will be taken care by your project manager. But software development activities, different stages of software development activities or the entire life cycle should be taken care by the business analyst. So this is the fundamental. Any questions so far? Okay, so you all have worked on, yeah. Any questions?
This is Dylan. So I just want to make sure it's correct. So the difference between BA versus project manager is BA has technical knowledge and communicates with the stakeholders.
Correct. Communicating with the stakeholder from a technical point of view is done by the BA. When I say technical point of view, except for programming, BA will not know details pertaining to which programming, which language. They know which language, but if it is a switch case or if it is a for loop or a while loop, BA need not know the internal structure of the programming that has to be created, but which programming language has to be used, BA should know that. As a project manager, whether they know C or Java or C++, that is not the important stuff there. What a project manager should do is, within that given schedule, do we have the required resources? Do we have that expertise? Okay, you want C, you are going to do in C, but do we have that resource? Should we hire them or should we get them from a bench? Are there C programming, Java programming, .NET programming resources on the bench? Should we get them on board for this project? So overall, organization of the project and implementing the project, getting things run. That is the most important activity, right? So whatever is the need for you to develop that software will be arranged by the project manager, but project managers are not technically sound. They always need the assistance of a BA to get all the product and technical details. But if it comes to programming and module level information, even a BA cannot help. They need the assistance of a developer. Any other questions for me?
No, that's it.
Okay, good. Now, what is the reason for a project failure? You all have worked on projects, be it in any type of industry. Why will a project fail? Anyone wants to attempt this question?
Is poor planning, poor communication.
Poor communication is one reason. Anyone else? Randir and Chidi? Shalini? Anyone wants to try? Okay. So we will see what are the various reasons for a project failure. There are many reasons why projects fail. One, lack of communication. If proper communication doesn't exist between teams, then the project will fail. Poor planning. If the planning is not done properly, projects can fail. If the objective of a project is not well defined, projects can fail. If the required skill set is not there, it's not available on time, then the project will fail. Long time to deliver. Unnecessary extension of the project or delay can also lead to project failure. Poor risk management. Gap analysis, impact analysis, and risk management are three different topics which we will discuss at a later stage. But the risk in implementing a project should also be assessed at the beginning of creating the product or the software. So if that is not assessed properly, if the risk is not assessed, then the project will fail. So there are many such reasons. All these reasons have to be assessed, and you have to make sure that the reasons that can come up that lead to a project failure should be stopped right at the beginning. It should be removed right at the beginning of the project. And that is the job of a project manager. Risk assessment is a separate topic that the project manager will do. But BA will also do risk assessment, but that will be from a technical standpoint. Most important reason is poor requirements management will lead to a software failure. If the requirements are not managed properly, then the software can fail. So from a project management perspective and software development lifecycle perspective, the way you handle a software development activity differs. So as I have told you, project manager takes care of the project management lifecycle. Business analyst takes care of the software development lifecycle. So as a project manager, you'll be worried about starting the project. Starting a project means understanding what that project or the product requirement is all about, what you need for it, and then start planning for it. In terms of planning, you must know how many resources are needed, how many cubicles are needed, how many computers are required, what are the various assets required, do you have to procure a new server, do you have to get a space in a data center. So what is a data center? A data center is a server room. So in companies or in other places when you go, you'll see a separate room that says admission restricted. What do you mean by that? It's a server room. Huge servers, rack server, tower server, mid-range servers will be placed in the server room or the data center. In software companies, these server rooms are referred to as data centers. Right? So do you need a space in a data center? Can you use an existing server or should you procure a new server? What is the overall budget for the project? What is the allocated budget? What is the buffer amount available? If there is an extension in the billing, how will you manage? So all that has to be finalized by the project manager. How many resources do you need? How to hire those resources? Are they readily available or should you look for resources from the external market, post a new job description on the portal and then hire candidates? So as a project manager, you'll get to work with finance department, you'll get to work with HR department, the sales department, whatever needed to get the project going on. Finally, once all these planning stuffs are completed, all these activities are done, you'll have to execute the project. Means start working on that project. Start working on the product development. While the product development is going on, a project manager will be worried about if the activities that have been scheduled within a week, you have to complete the stakeholder discussion. So that is a schedule. There should not be any slippage in the schedules. If there is a slippage in the schedule, then the project manager will closely work with the business analyst and the other department heads to find out why there has been a slippage in the schedule. Why wasn't the task completed on time? So that's called control project stages. So once all the scheduled activities have been completed, the product is developed, software is developed. Finally, it gets tested and deployed. Then what happens? You'll have to bring a closure to that project. And once the project is closed, you have lessons learned. what went wrong in the entire project life cycle for a particular product that is developed. So that is referred to as lessons learned. To make sure that you capture all the lessons that you've learned in the current project management life cycle for XYZ product, and in the next project management life cycle for another software development, make sure the same set of issues do not come up. This is all about the project manager's activities or project manager's role. What about a business analyst? A business analyst, on the other hand, will be working on the software development lifecycle phases. So what are the different phases in software development lifecycle? Planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance. So is the business analyst going to be worried about was the schedule met? Within that set period of time, was the activity completed? Yes, they have to complete it, but as an individual, I'm given an activity and I have to complete it within a week. So I'm responsible for completing that activity. But is the job of a business analyst to see has the developer completed that particular work within the given set of time? No, that is more of a project manager's work. But what information do you have to give the developer so that the developer can complete the development activity on time depends on the business analyst. So in the planning stage, you first start with the initiation. So in a software organization, what happens? You have the sales team. So what the sales team will do? Sales team will have a pitch call, means they will contact the client or the client can contact your company and they say there is a requirement. Or if your sales team is contacting a client, they can tell them we already have a product or we have the capability to build a product using this latest technology. See, the latest artificial intelligence or data scientist kind of machine learning kind of technology. And they're very keen about it and the client says, okay, we would like to understand more about your capabilities. Can we have a presentation or can we meet sometime? So there will be a representative. The representative from your organization can be a business analyst because business analyst knows very well about the organization capabilities in terms of process, business and IT. So they will be sent to the stakeholder or the external stakeholder will be invited to the company. They will be given a presentation of what is the capability of the organization, how many servers do you have, and high-end projects that you have managed, you have handled and successfully delivered, clients who have been very happy with the work that you have already done for them, kind of expertise and level of experienced people that you have in your organization, all positives and strengths of your organization will be presented to the client. They will be really satisfied. Immediately they can give you a project or they can take a few weeks or months to come back with a project. Once a project comes to the sales team, it is immediately informed to the business analyst and to the project manager to say there is a new software development need that has come up. So from there on, the sales team will take care of signing the contract, finalizing the service level agreement with the client, external stakeholder. That's the job of a sales team. Once the contract and service level agreement is signed, they will finalize the billing part, how the payment will be made by the stakeholder, etc. Once that is done, next, it is a job of a project manager to understand what the project needs are, and it is a job of a business analyst to meet the stakeholder. So first, they will have a face-to-face discussion with the stakeholder point of contact, who can be a senior manager or a director or a vice president. That is a very, very important meeting to understand more about the product, and in that meeting, face-to-face discussion It will be a one-to-one, face-to-face discussion. They will give a point of contact within their organization whom the business analyst has to talk to on a daily basis to get the product or the software needs. What are they expecting? What is that they want to develop? Once the business analyst gets to know the point of contact, they will go and meet the point of contact in the external stakeholders company. And day to day, first day, you'll have a rapport with them, you'll go out and you will talk to them. Then slowly you will be with them at their desk, observe what they're doing on their system, see the environment. Are there a lot of paper printouts? What type of application are they using? What work do they want to automate? Or software is nothing but automating a manual work. That's all is software. You are automating a manually executed task. So is there any paperwork, or have they partially automated the work? Is there any software or a technology that exists? There can be projects where it is completely manual. It is all paperwork and you have to completely transform the paperwork into a software. Most of the accounting projects, new softwares for accounting, hospital management projects, diagnostic center projects, dental center projects. They wouldn't have anything automated. It would be from the base. From the scratch, you have to see what are all the manual activities that they are doing and you have to automate it everywhere by creating a software. You can't have separate softwares for each and every activity. Those are referred to as modules, means smaller parts of softwares. So in a software company, what are the various roles that you can find? You'll have a junior analyst or a fresher. You can have a software engineer who's about 1 to 2 years of experience with some programming knowledge. Senior software engineers, junior engineers, software engineers and senior software engineers will report to the module lead. Who's a module lead? Module means small part of a software. So within HR, human resource department, if you have recruitment, compensation and benefits, performance management for employees, leave management, these are different units within the HR department. So each of these, if you have to create a HR management system, each of these units or within the HR department will be considered as a software unit, and so it is called as a module. We call it as a recruitment module, compensation and benefits module, leave management module, performance management module. So these are smaller components of software or smaller units of software that are created and integrated to form the complete HR management system. So each of these modules will have a module lead, one who is leading that module. Whatever happens within the recruitment module, the recruitment module lead will be responsible. Same ways, in the same manner, leave management module will be handled by another module lead. All these module leads together report to a technical lead who will be around 8 to 10 years of experience. Beyond technical lead, either you can move into a management role, that is a team lead, assistant manager, manager, senior manager, or you can move into an architect level. Principal, software engineer, architect, senior architect, principal software architect, solution architect, business architect, enterprise architect. So these are the different roles that you can find in a software company. As a business analyst, you may work with a junior analyst, software engineer, senior software engineer, module leads, technical lead, and different types of architects or different levels of management roles. You may get to work with a team manager, a team lead, assistant manager, a manager of a team. Okay, so in software development lifecycle, you have to first talk to the stakeholder point of contact, get an understanding of what this product or software is all about. So, okay, it's a HR management system and you have to automate their HR department's activities. Good. So that is the initiation phase. You're starting your discussion with it. Next, planning and analysis. You plan what type of a requirement you have to gather. If it is for recruitment, what type of questions you should ask them. What can be the various recruitment activities that can be carried out in the stakeholders company? Day to day, what are they doing? What do you mean by job shadowing? Looking at their system, what is the information you can gather? Do you have a SME, subject matter expert? Yes, you should have a SME. So you need your SME's help in terms of understanding what are all the various requirements that you have to plan and gather from your stakeholder that can help you build the recruitment module correctly. So once you have gathered all the requirements for the recruitment module, leave management, compensation and benefits, next you have to analyze. Have you collected all the required information? Are any informations in pieces? Is it incomplete? Do you need any complete information? Are there any information, the requirement which is not possible? One example which I had already given you, getting all the resumes from a third party job portal and saving it in the company's job portal. It is highly impossible. Okay, so if there can be different types of requirements that the stakeholders point of contact can give you, but gathering all the requirements, and don't assume that whatever is the stakeholder point of contact's verbal communication with you is a complete set of requirements. You should also ask them questions. It should be a bi-directional communication. It is not just you say and I will write down. No, that's not how it works, and that's not what a business analyst is meant for. A business analyst should always be good with their communication skill, analytical thinking, negotiation, handling criticism, and you must know how to talk, when to talk, and where to talk. What you should do, what you should talk, or what you should ask is very, very important as a business analyst. Human skills is equally important to your business analysis skills. So that's why the business analyst role is most preferred. You will interact with the people and you will also have good technical knowledge. Next, it goes to the design phase. Then implementation is nothing but the software development phase. Finally, maintenance and deployment takes place. Once the deployment is done, maintenance is carried out based on the service level agreement for 6 months or 1 year or whatever is the set period. Service level agreement means after deploying, deploying means installing the software on the stakeholders' computers once they start using the software which is created. Next, what should happen? There can be issues. So how long? Lifelong will you give support? Yeah, you can do that, but there will be an annual fees for it. If they're ready to pay the annual fee, then you can do that. Otherwise, you have to restrict on what is the period or duration that you're going to give them the service. If there's any issue with the software that you've developed for them, 6 months or 1 year is the maximum. Generally, annual subscription is done and 1 year service will be given to them. After that, they have to pay additional amount if they need the service, or it can be handed over to them. Finally, there's a closure of the software development activity. So from SDLC perspective, you have experience gathering. So in experience gathering, what has happened in different phases of software development lifecycle? Where did you go wrong? All those experiences should be gathered, and you have to make sure that in the forthcoming project, software development, those issues which you have already faced and you have passed through should not come up again. So that's about the software development lifecycle perspective of how a business analyst will be involved, and a project management's perspective of what a project manager will do in terms of the product development. Any questions so far?
This is Dylan. So when you say closure of software developments and deployments, do you mean that there's no more updates to the software?
Could you please repeat that?
So in the closure of software development
Got
and
it, got it.
deployment,
Okay, that's a good question. Closure of a software development means it can be a closure for one version. There are multiple versions in which the software can be developed, but there are softwares which will have only one version. So once that version is completed, that's a closure of the project. But if there are multiple versions of the project, one version closure of the project is also referred to as a closure. And in version 2, you will make sure that the issues that came up in the first version release do not occur in the second or consecutive version releases.
got it. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Let's continue. What are the different types of projects? New initiatives. So those are brand new projects from the scratch. Ongoing efforts. Projects that have already started and that are in progress. Based on the size of the project, the entire project is divided, the funding for the project is divided into two. One is a CapEx project and another one is the OpEx project. So what do you mean by a new initiative? It's a brand new project, you're starting from the scratch. Ongoing effort means already that project is going on and there's some additional, a small component to be created for a software that is already being built. So those are ongoing efforts or additional efforts that have to be put in. Be it whatever type of project, funding should happen. So when funding is decided or the budget for a project is decided, it is mainly taken care by the project manager. As a business analyst, you may also get an opportunity to work with the project manager in terms of the funding or budget allocation. You may or you may not, but it is good to have an idea of what are the different types of funding for a project. In CapEx project, it is funded from the capital budget of the company. It's a huge budget, huge pool of money. Typically, long and multi-year projects are funded through the capital budget or the CapEx. Capital expense, capital expenditure. In accounting terms, CapEx means capital expense. OpEx means operational expense. These are two different ledger entries. Generally, CapEx project funding is done for brand new application development projects where large number of resources are involved. Okay. So next, OpEx. What do you mean by OpEx funding? OpEx refers to operational expenditure or operational expense. It is funded from operational budget. Operational budget is different from the capital budget. Capital budget is the bigger pool of money that is very important to run the business. Whereas operational budget are small pools of money that wherein only the amount or the budget money required to execute various operational activities or different operations in the organization are pulled out from the OpEx pool of money. OpEx expenditure or expense is for shorter duration projects, smaller team size. When you have to have only smaller pool of money, that's the operational budget. BAs also act as a project manager in smaller companies. That is the reason I'm giving you a good foundation of project management activities along with the business analysis or software development activities. In-house projects. Development work is done within the organization and it is not outsourced. So those are in-house projects, means within your company the development takes place. Vendor build projects. Development and project implementation is done by a vendor. It can either be a complete product or part of a product. So what happens? Another company which is responsible for the development activity is referred to as a subcontractor. If you have taken the contract of creating a project, you are a contractor. You're creating a project for an external stakeholder, for a third party company. If there is another company which is going to help you in implementing that software application, then they are subcontractors. They're taking a part of your work or a complete work and they're going to do it, they're going to give it to you, and you will be giving it to the external stakeholder. Right? So those are vendor build projects. Customizing OTSs. OTSs are very common these days. So what do you mean by OTSs? OTSs refers to building a platform or building a software. It will be 70 to 80% ready. Any company can use it irrespective of whatever is their product. It can be a HR management product or it can be a sales product. So the companies can directly purchase the pre-built software from your organization, and within 1 or 2 months, you can customize it to the company's need. So the base or the fundamental, the foundation of the product is ready. 70% it is already done. It is only 20 to 30% of the work that is left over to customize the product to match the company that has asked for the software. So what is the benefit of doing this? One, you're saving a lot of time. Years together, you're not going to build a product for each of the company. Two, companies want the solution at the earliest. Companies do not want to wait for a very longer duration of time. Correct? They want something very quick. So if it is a pre-built software which has already been developed by your company and you have to make some customizations or changes to the software based on A, B, C, D company. Customization is not a very difficult task because you have developed the software, you have developed the modules, and your developer is very much ready. So it can be quickly done. So both the ways you're benefited. One, from your organization, the effort that you have to put is only one time. You build a product software for 2 years, 3 years, and you sell it to the other companies. You're going to make big money. So it is worth the time that you're spending. It's worth the amount that you're spending. And other companies are benefited because within 1 or 2 months, they have their huge software ready. So example of these kind of softwares include ERP systems. So ERP or CRM systems. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. All the needs of your enterprise, HR, sales, marketing, employee management, procurement, anything and everything. It will be available in one software. So what are these examples of ERP? SAP ERP systems. SAP FICO, you have SAP Finance module, SAP Marketing module, SAP Industrial module, SAP Manufacturing module, SAP HR module. Similarly, you have NetSuite. That is an Oracle product. It's an Oracle ERP system. So what is the benefit of it? The entire organization's data can be in one software, and that is the ERP software. It is a pre-built software. Projects can be dependent or independent. Independent projects are like building a brand new house. Dependent projects are building components for the existing project. It can be remodeling of a kitchen or whatever it is, a garden or whatever it is in the house. So that's a good example for an independent project and a dependent project. So now we have to summarize the difference between the project manager and a business analyst role. Project manager, project management, execution and delivery are the main tasks. Business analyst, requirements management, communication, performance and process improvement. These are the important tasks of a business analyst. Let us compare each of the roles. Project manager defines the project scope, what the project should do or what should be there in that project. Business analyst defines solution scope. What is a solution to the problem statement? Developing a software is a problem statement. So what is the solution to that? That is provided by a business analyst. Estimate resources and acquires team. Business analyst models business. Assess. What is the assess process? Assess business. And what is the to be business? Or what are the requirements needed to create a new product or automate the existing assess business is defined by a business analyst. Project manager develops the project plan. Business analyst develops requirements work plan. Project manager coordinates the project activities. Project initiation, getting resources, assets, etc. And project starts. Each and every schedule of the project should be met. Any slippage in the schedule must be immediately addressed by the project manager, and how to overcome that should be measures to that should be taken by the project manager, because you cannot delay any slippages or any missed out schedules, because that will get carried out and all other remaining modules will get affected. In a software company, if you're working for an external stakeholder, delay of about 1 week in the accepted delivery date will lead to 2% of deduction from the total amount. So a project manager has to be very, very careful. If there is a delay of about 1 week, 1% or 2% deduction of the total amount accepted for the software development will be done, which is a loss to your company. Because you would have planned billing, you would have paid your employees, hired resources, etc., based on whatever is the amount you have agreed. $200,000, 1 year project. And if there is a slippage in the schedule, the final delivery date of the software is getting extended by 1 week, 1% or 2% of $200,000 will be reduced, which is a loss. Okay. So project manager will be very careful right from the beginning that there shouldn't be any delay in the delivery of the software. That is the most important activity of a project manager. There should not be any slippage in the schedule or delay in the software development and deployment. Business analyst, on the other hand, works on creating the business requirements document, understanding the business requirements and converting the business requirement into system requirements, finalizing the softwares that will be used to develop the software. The software that you develop is a calculator software, but which software are you going to use? C is a software, Java is a software, .NET is a software, Ruby on Rails is a software, Python is a software. Correct? So which software are you going to use to build your software? Build the product should be decided by the business analyst. Project manager manages the project risks. There was an appraisal cycle. Hike was very less. Out of 20 people in the project, 5 of them decided to quit the project, quit the company on the whole, because their hike was very less. It's a risk. You cannot stop employees from quitting job. It can be for personal reason, it can be for monetary benefits, it can be health reason, whatever it is. You cannot stop employees from quitting jobs. So these are all addressed as risks. What if there's going to be a natural calamity in that region where the project is getting implemented? Heavy snowfall. Project is getting implemented during the winter season. There's going to be heavy snowfall. Who's going to manage that? Employees are not going to turn up to work. They won't come to the office. They can't come to the office. And if there's heavy rainfall and flood in that area, internet connection will not be there. Power connection may not be there. What will you do? So alternative arrangements of employees in different geographic locations should be done, constraints and dependencies. If there is a server failure, there should be an alternative server on which the development is carried out. You can't say the server failed. We have the technician looking into the server, and the whole day we have 20 resources spend their time looking at the computer, nothing, absolutely nothing to do. 20 resources, 1 day, 8 hours of work. How much of billing per head? What is the billing that's going to go out? And you can't say because the server was down, you didn't do any work. Please come on a Saturday or a Sunday and complete your work. No, employees are not going to agree to that because they are ready, they are available, and they're ready to work. If it is the problem of your computer or a server or system or infrastructure building, it is not the problem of the employee. That's about a project manager's role. On the other hand, what is business analyst going to manage? Business analyst is going to be worried about requirements. What type of requirements I'm going to get? What are the different ways in which I'm going to get the requirements? Have I got all the requirements needed? Should I conduct a brainstorming session? Should I involve additional people from my own organization and stakeholders organization to manage the requirements? What are the different types of requirements that I have to gather? How do I categorize the requirements? How do I confirm which requirement can be accepted for development, which requirement cannot be accepted? When you say yes, it sounds very good, but when you say no, there will be a lot of questions behind that. And so you have to be very, very prepared. You have to be very prepared for saying a no to a particular requirement that comes from your client, from your stakeholder. Strong justification is needed to justify why do you say no to a requirement. Reviews and accepts the project. That is the job of a project manager. As a business analyst, you will be involved in validating the requirements and verifying the requirements and agreeing, sign off the requirements. Project manager performs project closure. Business analyst, on the other hand, will be responsible for different types of testing, mainly involved in black box testing and user acceptance testing. Project manager captures lessons learned. Business analyst gathers and documents requirements to make risks visible and provide crucial decision support. Okay, so that's how you differentiate the role of a project manager and role of a business analyst. There are some activities that a project manager does and it can overlap with a business analyst on a timely basis. But project manager activities are different from a business analyst activities in most of the companies. This is a sure question in your interview. How do you differentiate the project manager's role and a business analyst role? Any questions so far?
I have a question. So, so I understand that BA, they're in charge of developing the requirements, managing the requirements, gathering the resources to accomplish those requirements.
Yeah.
My background is in healthcare, psychology, medical. I'm just wondering, how do I know like which software we should use? Because I don't know C++, Java.
You need not know C++ or you need not know Java. For example, the calculator application that we have on your computer. Okay, this is a simple calculator application, right? But there's a lot of code that is involved in creating this calculator application. All you have to worry as a business analyst is about this. What is the look and feel of this application? What type of buttons are needed? What is the functionality of a plus button, minus button, multiply button, divide button? In the beginning, it should display 0. How the calculator application should look? What should be the height of the user interface? This is called as an user interface. What you see is the user interface. What is the width of it? What type of a screen it should have? It should have a normal close button, maximize, minimize button. There should be a menu. In the menu, what are the other different types of calculations that should be provided. But within this, when I say 1 plus 2 and I press equal, it gives 3. How is it giving 3? It is a job of a developer. You as a business analyst, you must know that 1 plus 2, when you click on equals, should give 3. This is all about the requirement. 1 plus 2 should give 3 is the requirement. How it should look like in the screen is the design. 1, click on plus, click on 2 button, click on equal button. It should display 3. That is called design. But what should happen here in the code? Void addition. So in the void addition code, this is a C program. So here what happens? It is going to read the number that is given as an input. If you see here, the number is read as an input, 1 plus 2, and finally the actual calculation, mathematical calculation happens via the code. So within this calculator, there is a code written for addition, and that code, this part of the code takes care of 1 plus 2 equals 3. As a BA, you will be worried only about this calculator. You don't have to worry much about what syntax you're going to use, what is scanf, what is printf, or the same program can be written in Java. You have addition here. So in the addition, what happens? So you're getting two numbers, 1, 2. And then here you say 1 plus 2. That is the result. Finally, you're displaying the result. So this is the job of a developer. Writing this program is a job of a developer in whichever programming language. This is a Java sample. This is a C programming sample. There are so many programming languages. Same thing you can do it in .NET. Same thing you can do it in Python. There are so many programming languages that can achieve the same end result. But what should be displayed and what should be given to the end user is what you will be worried much as a business analyst. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. So with this example, I think you should have got a better idea of what a BA's role is all about, right?
Yeah, I have a pretty good idea now.
So even when you test, right? So I told you there are two types of testing that is done, right? One is a black box and a white box testing. A systems analyst will be good at all these stuffs. They know what is printf, they know what is scanf, what do you mean by system out print, system out in, they know everything. But as a business analyst, you will be worried about when I press 1 plus 2 and equals, it should show me 3. This is called functionality testing. What is the function of the plus button? You're not bothered about what is the code written in the backend for that plus. It is a job of a systems analyst or a white box tester to check, is this code correct? Is this code written in a proper way? Are there any additional lines of code? So every line that you see here, be it any programming language, every line is referred to as a line of code, LOC. One line of program is called a line of code. Program is written one below the other in different lines. Sometimes it is also referred to as a statement, code, statement, or a program. It will have a logic. Printf and scanf are very specific to C program. System out, print, these specific commands that you see here, these are very specific to Java. Be it scan, next, float, etc. These are all very much specific to Java. Same way in .NET, you have handle, you have different ways in which the data is read, data is processed. So you can look on Google for simple calculator program using C, simple calculator program using Java, simple calculator program using VB.NET, simple calculator program using Python. That will give you an idea of programming languages, the syntax, semantic of it, it can be different. But end product, the same application can be developed using n number of programming languages. I have developed it using C, Java, .NET, Python, VBA. There are so many software languages, programming languages that can be used to create a software. So what are these programming languages called? What is this? This is also, C is also a software. You have to first install the C compiler on your system, Java compiler on your system. .NET, you need Visual Studio installed on your system. Python, you have Python libraries to be installed on your system. So VB.NET is a software. How do you access that software? By installing Visual Studio on your system. So only when you have Visual Studio installed on your system, you can use the VB.NET programming, coding. If you have C compiler installed on your system, you can write C program and compile the program. But as a business analyst, should you worry about compilation, interpretation, how each and every line of code is interpreted by an operating system? No. That is the job of a developer. That's why we call them a programmer, and you are called as a business analyst. What is a business here? Develop a calculator that can perform plus, minus, multiply, divide. That is the functionality of the need of the business. Create a software that can hold all the recruitment details. That is the function of the HR recruitment activities. So your understanding is more from a functional and business perspective, and it is not from printf, scanf or interpretation, compilation, which you must know which operating system, you must know whether it is C or Java or .NET. Stop there. After that, what has to be done will be taken care by the programmer or a developer. Technical person, programmer, developer, all means the same. They have programming knowledge, means they know C. Within C, simple. In English, you know verb, you know noun, you know an adjective, what is an adjective, and you know what is in different vocabulary, grammar part of English. So it means you know the details of English. In the same way, if you know what is printf, scanf, how do you put where to put a semicolon, where to put a comma, how to use int, how to use float, it means you know the syntax and semantics. It's not called the grammar of the language, but it is called a syntax and semantics of the language. This is a language. C is a programming language like English or like any other language. C is a programming language that computer understands. If you can understand English, of course, computer can also understand English. But if you want to instruct the computer, if you want to tell the computer, look, computer, I want some task to be automated. I don't want to do it manually. I will write a program in your language. You please understand that and do it automatically n number of times. So a software is created only once and it is used n number of times. Okay. Now we will move on to the definition of enterprise analysis and business architecture. Stop me if you don't understand at any point in time. What is enterprise analysis? Determine and define. Understanding and capturing business needs. The business architecture. Setting up the priorities, feasibility studies. But you do all of these from a business perspective at an enterprise level. It is not just at a business level or for a business unit. It is an enterprise level analysis and solution that you have to provide. So, the enterprise analysis, it is also known as strategic enterprise analysis or company level analysis, is defined as focusing on understanding the needs of the business as a whole, its strategic direction, and identifying initiatives that will allow a business to meet those strategic goals. Enterprise analysis involves a thorough examination of not only the business problem, but the proposed business solution that already exists. Okay? A complete examination of what is needed at an enterprise level Overall business solution is the main target of enterprise level solution. Further information about enterprise analysis is available in this file. You can find this file within the documents. In documents Word file, you have what is enterprise analysis. So you can look at this file for more information. But to give you an overview of enterprise analysis, it is slightly different from business analysis. If the business analysis is very specific to one area of business, enterprise analysis is at the company level or overall analysis of the business from various functional views. It can be HR, it can be sales, it can be cloud-based system, it can be a server issue, or it can be operations related. Overall enterprise solution is the main aim of enterprise analysis. Business architecture. Business architecture is a set of documentation that defines an organization's current and future capabilities. As new business opportunities turn into proposed projects, business architecture determines change in the business IT systems that support the business. Right? So overall, what is the architecture for a particular business is very much needed because that defines the organization's current and future capabilities. What type of a solution can you give to the HR business? How do you architecture the solution for a HR business gives a very good scope to your organization's current and future capabilities. What is the current capability of your organization and what is the future capability that you can add in terms of HR or in terms of retail, in terms of fixed income, equities, capital markets, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, or digital marketing, whatever it is. You're considering that as a business and you're finding a solution by designing an architecture. Architecture can involve domain-specific solution, technology-specific solution, process flow, workflow within the process, that is also a part of the architecture. And what is the asset needed, servers or what type of deployment, how do you handle that particular architecture, how do you create a product based on that architecture and how do you manage it. That is also very much defined in the business architecture. So overall, business architecture defines the change in the business, how your business is changing, evolving. I wouldn't even call it change, it is evolving, moving from a lower edge to a higher edge in terms of IT, in terms of process, in terms of business, in terms of technology, in terms of the methods in which the software can be easily deployed to the end user, make it available to a number of people, error-free and 24/7 service specific capabilities of your software, everything. Enterprise architecture, on the other hand, comprises of business architecture, information architecture, application architecture, technology architecture, and IT security architecture. Any questions about business architecture before I move on to enterprise? Because business architecture is a subset of the enterprise architecture. Okay, so as I told you, business architecture is a subset of the enterprise architecture. If business architecture is specific to a particular type of business, then the enterprise architecture comprises of several business architectures together, several information architectures together. What do you mean by a business architecture? As I gave you an example, it can be sales, HR, manufacturing, marketing, equities, capital markets, whatever it is. Architecture for the IT capability, process capability, and business capability together gives you the business architecture for that particular domain. Information architecture. Information is wealth. Information means data. How do you manage the data? Business wise, okay, you have domain specific details, you have the workflow, you have the required IT capabilities, you have the business capabilities, process capabilities, good. But data, day by day, the data is growing and growing and growing. Megabytes, gigabytes, petabytes, terabytes, so much terabytes, petabytes. The volume of data is growing. Now that we have moved into big data technology, tick by tick information is gathered. How do you store all this data? Storage mechanisms are changing. People are moving away from on-premise servers. People are preferring cloud-based systems. Microsoft offers Azure cloud-based system. Correct? There are so many. Amazon offers Amazon Web Services and cloud-based system. Even databases like MySQL, SQL Server, these are all cloud-based these days. People are moving away. Companies are moving away from buying n number of servers. Why do you buy a server? Why do you need a data center? You have to spend money for your data center. There are so many arrangements that have to be done in the data center. Temperature should be maintained well, and then the server routers, network connections. You always need resources 24/7 to look into what is happening with the servers. If the server is down, what do you do? To avoid all of these, people are moving away to cloud-based system. But the data is growing. Where do you store all this data? And what type of architecture do you have for storing your data? Is your data structured, semi-structured, or unstructured? What is a structured data? A structured data has a proper relationship between the data that is stored in the form of a table, rows and columns, in a tabular form or in multiple dimensions. Now we have big data. In big data, what happens? You have semi-structured and unstructured data. So in big data, you have Hadoop, you have Hive, you have Spark, you have Flume. So many technologies are there in big data. Why do you need the big data? We need big data because there's no end to the data that you receive. What type of data will you receive? If it is equity based, tick by tick information of the stock that is getting traded. Every second or even less than a second, millisecond, there is a trade that is happening. Where do you save all this information? There's so much of information. So there should be a proper way in which the information gets stored. How do you store structured data, data that is related? How do you store semi-structured? Some part of the data has some meaning. Some part of the data has to be cleansed or further filtered. That's called semi-structured. Unstructured data. Data is not at all related or filtered, or it has to be cleansed. It is not in a proper format. It is not in a proper hierarchical order. It's not in a sequence of how it can be absorbed or how it can be put to work. It's called a raw data. But still you need an architecture to store all your unstructured data. So that's all about information architecture or data architecture. Master data management plans have to be implemented in managing the data. Data information architecture means data management. Data management is also referred to as master data. Master data means the whole set of data information that you have. How do you manage? That is the most challenging part of the software companies these days. Because you have to be very intelligent in organizing the data and using minimum number of systems or cloud-based access to store huge volumes of data. You can't buy n number of licenses and n number of servers to store data. You'll be losing a lot of money. End of the day, why are you running a company? You have to make some profit. But at the same time, you have to be very intelligent, or you have to have the architectures designed in such a way that you can manage huge volume of data that comes through at the same time at a very minimal cost. If your organization is able to do that, your organization is most preferred by the companies for software development. Application architecture. What's application architecture? What are the various complex levels of applications can you build? How many layers of applications can you build? There are 3 tiers of architecture. 1-tier architecture, 2-tier architecture, 3-tier architecture. What is 1-tier architecture? T-I-E-R. That's how it is spelled. 1-tier architecture means Word, Excel. These are all 1-tier architecture. These are not connected to any other servers, right? So it is directly, the software is installed on your computer. How do you get Word and Excel on your computer? You have to install MS Office package. What is MS Office package? It is a software. What is that MS Office package software? Programming is written, like I've shown you the C and Java program. They have program written in the backend which has been packaged. It is converted into an executable. Once it is converted into an executable, it is given to you as a software. What do we call it? Install MS Office application on your system. Simple. When you install, what do you see? You see Outlook, you have PowerPoint, you have Access, you have Excel, n number of applications within MS Office. So the application architecture is very important. If it is only a standalone installation on your computer, like a normal calculator software or MS Office software, it's 1-tier architecture. It is specific to the computer in which it is installed. What is 2-tier architectured application? There is a client system and there is a server system. The client system interacts with the server system. How the client system interacts with the server system? The client system sends a request to the server system. What's it? Why am I using this term client and a server? What does it mean? A client means it can be a desktop or a laptop. That's it. Either you can use it, your developer can use it, your end user, your stakeholder can use it. It's a simple laptop or a desktop. That's called a client system. What is a server system? The capacity of processing data on a normal laptop or a desktop is different from that of a server. On a server system, the data processing capabilities are much higher. The speed in which the information is processed is much higher in a server. Server can hold the entire application. If it is a web application, what happens? The entire web solution, website solution is deployed on the server system. Server systems have huge monitors, it has a huge CPU. Or if it is cloud-based, then this Microsoft or Amazon takes care of the server. You don't have to worry about server maintenance. You have to only worry about the data that you are putting into that server machine. Capability or the capacity of your laptop or a desktop is much lesser than a server. The speed in which the data is processed, the processor capacity of your laptop or desktop is lesser than that of a server. A server is very much similar to your desktop system, but the capacity of a processor, the memory, cache memory, virtual memory, everything is higher in a server. That is the only difference. So when the normal laptop or a desktop makes a request to the server, which is a huge system that is there in the data center, or it is there in, or you have a cloud-based system. The information is fetched from the server system and it is shown on the laptop or a desktop. That is your client system. What is this called? It's a 2-tier architecture because 2 systems are involved. A client system and a server system is involved. Next you have 3-tier architecture. In 3-tier architecture, you have a standalone system, client system, laptop or a desktop. You have a server. In between, you can have another software. It's called as a middleware. Middleware, W-A-R-E. So in between the laptop or a desktop where you're making a request and there's a server system, in between there is a middleware. It's a component that accepts the request. You want something, you're asking for it through your laptop. That goes to the in-between software. That's called as a middleware. That middleware processes the request and it sends the required information to the server. So here you are not directly interacting with the server in a 3-tier architecture. In 2-tier architecture, it's your system and the server system. Only two systems interact. In 3-tier architecture, your system sends a request to the middleware, the central system. It can be a software, it can be a component, small unit of a software, whatever it is. From there, it goes to the server. And from the server, the information flows back to the software, the middleware, and from the middleware, it flows to the laptop or the desktop from which the request was made. So this is referred to as a 3-tier architecture. Any questions so far? We have seen business architecture, information architecture, and application architecture. So what is the complex level of architecture in which you have created an application? 1-tier, 2-tier, 3-tier, and there are applications where the server itself is divided into 3 or 5 units. Right? That's called partitioning or clustering. If the server has to manage data in different volumes, there is a specific limit of how much a server can manage, right? So that is split and the processes are partitioned and loaded on different servers. It can be 2, 3, 5 servers. So what happens? One laptop interacts with an middleware system and that in turn interacts with server. One server communicates with another one, another. So how many systems are involved here? So that describes the complexity of the application architecture that your organization is capable of developing. Why do we split the servers? Just because if you have to reduce the burden or reduce the execution capacity, if you load a lot of information in one server, the execution is going to be slower. If you want to increase the execution capability of the server, then you split that, you partition it and you put it on different servers. But number of systems that you have to manage defines the entire system is nothing but the application. System, application, software, product, all of these refer to the same. It's a software. That's it. So the complexity of application architecture your organization can manage and how quickly you can give the end result to the user of your system is what is the challenging part. And that's what defines the application architecture. Next is technology architecture. These days you cannot come to a solution using one technology. You may have to use .NET, you may have to use big data, you may have to use machine learning, use Python, use Ajax, use Ruby on Rails, use different programming languages and different technologies to arrive at one solution. So, how well your organization can manage low level, middle level, and high level technologies together. What are the various architectures that you can use the technology in combination with, which can help derive the result within a few seconds or minutes? That's what defines the technology architecture. How well can you use the technology, be it separately, be it in combination, or you have different architectures separately for each of the technology and you have a center hub that pulls in the result from all these architectures together. That's the challenging part of deriving quick result using different technologies to the maximum extent possible. So that's the reason we say as a business analyst, you must know which technology is used for what. You need not know the programming line of code, where to put a semicolon, how do you put equal to, and how do you write the program, how do you write a function. That is not needed or not expected from a BA. But where to use C, where to use Java, where to use ASP.NET, where to use VB.NET, you must know. And throughout this training program, I will be using some of these programming languages or the technology names and where it is used. So as we move into the project, now I'm giving you the fundamental details. So as we move into the project, say in another 4 to 5 sessions or so, you will have a very clear picture of what technology can be used and how technology is used. IT security architecture, another important topic that you must know as a business analyst. Be it any type of a software, security is very important. If hackers hack your application, they can get into the data and take away the data, which is a big risk, be it healthcare, be it digital marketing, or be it finance, be it capital markets, anything. HR, number of people, number of candidates in your company, number of people who have quit. Do you want the other company or other people, external people, to know what is happening in your company? No. Finance products, payment mainly. We have so many web applications that deals with payment. What if the information is taken off from the server, if it is hacked? It is going to be a very, very big issue. So IT security architecture is very, very important when it comes to the enterprise architecture. Who's going to take care of the IT security architecture? You have the security team, IT security team, that mainly works on encryption of data, crypting techniques, different algorithms are available, then data, how data moves from one system to another system through internet. Without internet, you can't access one system and to another system. So how that internet works, what happens, data is sent in small packets. Okay, so that will have bytes or kilobytes or megabytes. So when it moves from one system to another system, be it client system to client or client to server or client to middleware, whatever combination, data moves in packets. When it moves in packets, in bytes, kilobytes or megabytes or gigabytes, hackers will target at the data. If the data is not encrypted, encryption of data means ABC is not passed as ABC when it moves as a packet. It is encrypted. Hackers cannot find out that it is A, B, or C. It is encrypted and then the data is moved. So that is done by using different encryption technologies, and different algorithms are available for that. So you don't have to get into all those details. Just for your idea, I'm telling that. There's a networking team. In the networking team, you will have networking professionals who are certified CompTIA, CompTIA, CompTIA certified, or network security certified. There are so many certifications available in the market for ensuring security is properly defined and implemented on the network that your company provides. Okay. Citrix or VPN kind of login, all these are for encryption. You have to be very careful. Why do you have the RSA token? So these are all for encryption of data so that the hackers cannot easily hack the data or hit the server and collapse the server. On the other hand, development team will also work on the security aspects, wherein they will have encryption done on the data that is fed into the configuration files. Right? There will be some text files like Notepad, WordPad, where the data is stored. So all these, or web config files within the Visual Studio. All these files are very important. It contains username, password, or IP address. So it should be encrypted and it should not be easily cracked by the hackers. So on the whole, when you're talking about enterprise level solution or creating enterprise level architecture, business architecture in terms of business, IT and process, information architecture, data management, application architecture, different tiers of architecture, 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier or multiple server architectures. Technology architecture, how well you can use different types of technologies that are available in the market and how quickly you can deliver the solution. What is the technology expertise of your organization is determined. IT security architecture, as I told you, the network team and the development team together works to provide the IT security norms for your application software that you create. So as a business analyst, you will work towards improvement of your organization from all these perspectives, and you will work with each of these groups. Analyzing the gaps between the current and future business architectures to determine the changes required in the future. To bring about IT, process, business, technology, information, application, and IT security achievements or improvements in the organization should be the aim of a business analyst. Any questions? Okay, we will stop it with this today. In the next session, we will see SDLC in detail, and then we will get into SDLC methodologies. There are different methodologies of software development lifecycle. The most important and most preferred methodologies are Agile methodology, Waterfall methodology is still being used, and Rapid Application Development. But I will give you an overview of other SDLC methodology types. So once we finish that, then we can move on to requirements. That is the core activity of the business analyst. As a business analyst, what are the types of requirements and how do you manage different requirements? How do you gather requirements? What are the tools for requirements gathering? What are the techniques of requirements gathering is what we will see after completing SDLC and SDLC methodologies in detail. So before moving on to requirements, you should have a very good understanding of what a software is and what do you mean by a product or a software development. So as I've told you, software is nothing but a programming language in which, based on the syntax and semantic of the programming language, the application gets developed. The software gets created. So each and every line that you write, line of code that is written to create a software is referred to as a line of code, and that is nothing but the programming language's base, or that's a way you instruct the computer to do something automatically. That's the software. On the other hand, we have hardware. What is a hardware? Within your computer, whatever your laptop or your desktop, mouse, within your computer, whatever you have a hard disk, you have a motherboard, you have the processor. Okay, these are all hardwares that are required for functioning of your system. Most of the time, hardwares are related to electronic terminologies, whereas software is very much specific to the programming language, the software or the product that you build and how you install it on the system. Your laptop or a computer or a server is an electronic device. There is no change to that. Similar to your TV or similar to any other electronic device that you use, this is also an electronic device. So there are hardware components. There are circuits. If you open a laptop or a computer, you can see an electronic circuit board. That's your motherboard. Without the motherboard, where will you place the processor? Without a processor, how will your computer process the information that you feed? Right? So a computer is a combination of hardware and software. Without software, hardware is of no use. Without hardware, you can't install your software or make it work. So that's the difference between software and a hardware. Good. With this, we will come to an end to today's session. Right? So we are done with the project details. Next session, we will finish the software development lifecycle and the methodologies. So by the end of next session, please install MS Visio on your system. We will start with a basic flowchart, how to create a basic flowchart using MS Visio. I will give you an introduction to Visio, how to use Visio. You can find the link to download Visio from the trial applications file. Open this trial application file. In this file, you have links to install Visio. Install Visio. Do not install MS Project SQL Server until I tell you. If you don't have MS Word or Excel, please use these links to install MS Office on your system. Here I have provided a link to contact the Microsoft Chat technical team. If you have any difficulty in installing Visio, it's very easy to install. You have to create a Hotmail account before you install Visio. Create a Hotmail account and then use these links to install Visio on your system. Any difficulty, contact Microsoft technical team, or you can contact me through Mr. Sunil, who's your course coordinator. With this, we will end today's session. Do you have any questions for me?
Hello, so this is Dylan. I can't seem to find, I guess I have the first training materials or blog, I guess the outdated one. I'm not sure where the application is.
Okay, let me show it to you. Okay, it is a separate file. So wherever you find this RAR file, in the same folder, you should find another Word file called trial application web URL. Do you find it?
I don't see it. I just see a BA assignments, interview questions, line mapping, PDF
Okay,
templates.
we'll do one thing. We will take this offline. I will inform Sunil. He will directly connect to your system through TeamViewer and he will help you download the file. Should that help?
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Yeah, welcome. Anyone, any other questions that you have for me? There will be an assignment posted today about what you have learned. Only another 1 or 2 sessions will be theoretic up to the time you get an understanding of requirements, requirement change management, etc. And after that, we will move on to practical work, project, diagrams, usage of Visio, and templates. That would be more of practical sessions than having it as theoretical sessions. Simultaneously, I'll be covering different documents that you must learn as a business analyst, BRD, FRD, SRS kind of documents, which are very important with examples. Okay. If you have any further questions, please post it on the blog. I hope you all have got the blog access by now. If you haven't received your blog access, please contact Mr. Sunil, who's your course coordinator. He can help you get the access to the blog. Download all the materials if you don't find any of the materials, or it is available within this file. If you don't find it within this file, or you don't find this file, please do inform us. We will help you get access to the file. You can also post your questions on Query to the Trainer. I'll be glad to answer you there. Assignments have to be completed at the earliest whenever possible. It will be good if you can do it on a daily basis after the session so that you will not forget what you have learned. And you can post back the finished assignment document or Visio file or PDF file, Excel file on the blog. I will assess, I will go through it, I'll review it, and I will give my inputs. Okay, with this, we will come to an end to today's session. Thank you all for attending the session today. Let's all meet in the next session. You all have a good day and a good weekend. Take care. Bye.
Bye.